Ba 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 da 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 do 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 do. Well, I don't have a guitar today, so I am not gonna be playing no guitar. I'm gonna be singing instead, and that's gonna present a certain amount of challenges. And I haven't warmed up, so apologies. It's very early, and most people around here are still asleep, so I'll try and keep it mostly quiet and low. Low notes do travel further, but they are much less intrusive to the human psyche, so I think it should be fine. Let's see what we're doing today, shall we? Oh, I haven't even opened up Cobus just yet. Come on, Cobus. Yeah, so I wasn't actually aware of anything released this week going into it. I found something which looks quite interesting. There's always a chance that it won't be, but I think it will. Actually, it's not strictly true. I am aware of Debbie Friday, but the last Debbie Friday album that I listened to was a little disappointing, considering Bitch Punk and Death Drive were both very interesting. I think I've sort of soured on them a little bit since, but both are very, very cool EPs, and I really enjoyed them at the time. And then just the full length Debbie Friday was not as exciting, which was a bit disappointing. But nonetheless, I've still found something that we can have a look at today, which is The New Eve is Rising by the New Eves. Which one of them? Which one of the four is rising? Let's get me out of the way again. Come on. Always react so slowly when I try and move things. There we go. We've got 4 Eves, presumably. 4 new Eves. One of them is rising. Unless this is a reference to the concept of the new Eve. I don't know. They remind me of a film I saw called The Other Lamb, which was about one particular woman, but several women and children who were brought up in a cult following one particular man, and they were sort of nomadic. Well, not really. They did have places that they'd constructed, I think. But they all wore very basic garb, and they all stayed in the same place rather than traversing into the world. It gets pretty depressing and a little bit scary, maybe, but it's quite fun. And maybe this is in the aftermath of that. 4 particular Eves have decided to make their way in the world by themselves, and sort of encourage more people to do the same. Something like that. I don't know. It's interesting that this says their musical ancestry stems from Patti Smith's Horses, Velvet Underground, and the Raincoats, which is fun. So I'm expecting something I've had a brief listen to a few tracks. I'm expecting something quite punky and probably in some way connected to whatever post-punk means in the new music. Okay, let's have a listen. You're gonna do me dirty. I know. Moving over. There we go. Lovely. Let's try that again. Okay. So we're building up strings here, real string bowed string instruments. Hello, coming in there, and I think that was there before, but in a much further back, less compressed form, with a lot more noise on the sound. Let's hear it again. Yeah, so you can hear the ooh at the bottom there, ooh, with a high harmonic, but you mainly hear the noise of the snow and static around it. Yeah, and you hear a moment there where it goes, oh, like it has just a play through the harmonics of the string to some degree. Gets a bit more scratchy. That's where the next string comes in. And they're an augmented fourth away from each other. So that's a little bit uncomfortable listening, especially because they're so raw and scratchy in their timbres. Okay. Do. So we get that low. Low note below. I can't actually tell what that is, but I do have a tuner on my phone. And hopefully we will just stay in tune with that. I'm just going to check. Ooh, C sharp. Ooh, down to F sharp. Ooh, I can't actually tell that that's a C sharp. That's interesting. Ooh, there we go. Yeah, okay. Ooh, hey, it did get F sharp, but it got F sharp 4. Never mind. Normally with that kind of vocal fry, there's so much high frequency going on in it that the fundamental is actually probably not the dominant sound. Anyway, so they make a fifth together, very strong, deep fifth with the over the top. That's like a flat 2, but I think it's mellowed a little. It hasn't really, has it? No, it's still got that G going on there. Uncomfortable chord. And it sounds like we're going to get away with it because the melody is not going to be a melody. We're going to have some spoken stuff here, which makes sense.
The new eve is rising. From the
we only got that low. We only got that low bass for a brief moment.
The new eve, eve is rising. From the pages of a burnt Bible. From the
so that top string has moved down a sixth. So we've got
roadside.
Sounds like a really nice seventh. Maybe not perfectly tuned, but sevenths are weird to tune anyway. But it sounds really nice.
And the gutters, the marshes.
And then there's this threat of undertones, which is interesting because that really then wanted to go to ooh for a moment there, but it did. It did for a brief moment.
And the gutters, the marshes and the meadows.
And then it goes back. So maybe these are harmonics that they're then going away from the harmonic with the bow or something like that. Ooh, ooh, ooh. that top one is using notes that are very much unrelated to the low one. Let's just talk about the voice for a brief moment. Clear, declamatory, but not shouting at all. I should have done this with some water. Maybe I just don't lean forward so much. What else have we got? But that was freaky to watch. Okay. So, yes, so she's got a very clear voice. She's not particularly speaking on any pitch, but it is fairly consistent. And what's the rhythm going on?
From the pages of a burnt Bible, from the roadsides and the gutters, the
There is a kind of rhythm, because we've got that repeated from the da 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 da. So we get this da 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 kind of rhythm. So that feels a bit like it's in 3. I'm gonna have to go and get some water, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Really struggling all of a sudden. Alright, let's hope that helps to some degree. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just don't feel your best. And that's okay. Anyway, yeah, so we've got a bit of rhythm in that voice. We've got a bit of rhythm from the bass going bum 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 bum, but then it just disappeared. The other things really, the only rhythm to be taken would be from their occasional fluctuations in the pitch towards harmonics.
meadows, from the pulpit.
Yeah, but that's pretty discordant, isn't it? We've got that and the which really sounds like a fourth actually, which is not that discordant.
Marshes and the meadows.
But we've also got that okay, it's an augmented fourth. Dee dee dee.
From the pulpits.
Yeah. So it's like a diminished half diminished chord. Do 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 do. Interesting.
And the cafes, from the forests and our backbones.
But yeah, now it does feel like a fourth. So there's a little bit of a clearing of the harmony. Let's hear that in context.
From the pulpits and the cafes, from the forests and our backbones.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a clearing. We still get the low F sharp, no, sorry, C sharp on the bottom, but we've got an F sharp on the top. And what else to say about it? Yeah, I think there might be another instrument in there, just sitting in the back, but a little bit higher than the others.
The new Eve is curious and
Okay, there's an extra high harmonic coming through there. Woo! What's that going to be? A G sharp. Okay, making quite a clear sus2 chord then.
free. She eats what
But there's still some rot in there, isn't there? And the voice has taken it up a notch. We're now a little bit higher and a little bit more insistent.
curious and free. She eats what she wants to eat. Every fruit from every tree she devours.
So we just got the low F sharp for a brief moment there. I'm not sure we got the rhythm with it though. Let's hear it again.
Eat every fruit from every tree.
No, just one
she
particular bass note.
Guiltlessly.
Okay, there's a real bit of scratching on at least one of these string instruments. I think it might be just two cellos, but it might be like a cello and a viola.
And thick red fruit blood run down her hungry mouth, and thick red fruit blood run down her naked thighs.
Yeah, that was a big long line, that one, wasn't it? That's quite fun, because we haven't had things like that before. We've had mostly short statements.
Guiltlessly, and thick red fruit blood run down her hungry mouth, and thick red fruit blood run down her naked thighs.
And it's two different versions of the same phrase stuck together and run through, and it's quite nice because you're talking about thick blood of some description running across two different things. I can only remember naked thighs, unfortunately. That has clouded my mind.
The new Eve is not ashamed when she bleeds.
There's that. Yeah, interesting. So there, the second cello, it must be a cello, it's too low for a viola, I think. Hits the F sharp at the same time as the low F sharp. Ooh, comes in.
The new Eve spits out the seeds from the fruit of the forbidden tree, and
it's a little bit of fun string noise on the left speaker. Just noise from fingers on strings, I think.
then she plants them carefully, nurturing an orchard of apple trees.
Disappearing a little bit. Okay, so most things disappeared just towards the end there. Keeping on only the C sharp. Oh, no, F sharp. Do I mean that? No, I mean the C sharp.
An orchard of...
So that's the only thing keeping on, apart from of apples. Of apples. Up there. It's up there. It's higher than my general voice.
apple trees.
Apple tree. Apple trees. And that ends on an F sharp, actually. Apple trees.
Of apple trees.
Trees. Do. And then we start in. Okay, with what sounds like a bass, but it's playing an octave higher now. Do, 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 do. Could be a guitar. In fact, it is a guitar. And there's the other guitar, and then there's some drums. So it sounds like we're going to divert from this eccentric texture to something slightly more staid.
The new Eve is of earth, granite.
Yeah, this is some classic stuff. Do 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 do. That's what the bass is doing, down an octave. And then the guitar do 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 do, moving down. So they move from the octave to the fifth and back to the octave, moving from an F sharp to an A chord. So this is sort of classic rock territory, really. The drums haven't come in proper, have they? filling in things at the end of every second bar.
Ochre, magma, dirt. All the bones in her body are holy.
Yeah, you can see why they would make a connection to Patti Smith, because the spoken word nature of this and the vivid imagery is very very like Horses itself, the song Horses.
All the
And the sort of build up of the music, I suppose, to some degree.
stones in her pockets are homely. She is an animal among animals, a human among humans.
Voice broke there for a moment, which is actually quite beautiful. Human among humans.
A human among humans.
But if we're struggling with this stuff, no, I'm sorry, that's unfair. It's clearly deliberate. It's on a studio recording.
Wild and full of purpose, tender and ferocious, limbs and loins burning of lust.
Okay, and as we come in there with a regular beat on the tom, or maybe on the kick drum, I suppose, in comes a fuzzy guitar as well, doing the same note.
Burning of lust. And the new Eve bucks. The new Eve bucks if she wants to. The new Eve says no if she doesn't.
And the voice is intensified quite considerably, right? Ooh, up there on like, yeah, A sharp B kind of territory. Dear, I hope this is not going to be like the one where I couldn't stop coughing.
Want to, and there is no God to save you if
Even
you fail to listen.
So that really is where that voice is on the brink, isn't it? Between between the two different parts of the voice. Yeah. If she sang with a little more support, we could probably get the connection there. But I think that it has its own sort of despair and intensity and slightly scariness when it's held on the brink.
God to save you if you fail to listen.
You never know if a note is going to burst through.
Autonomy over her soul and her body. The new Eve has learned to scream, to stand straight, to sing, to speak.
Yeah, lots of cool, powerful, little bits there. We were getting away from the longer phrases and getting to shorter ones again. I wonder if that's because we're tailing down with what the voice is doing.
The new Eve eats baked beans, cries into a pillow.
No, it was just kind of a section end. We've had really the beginning section and then this build-up section. But actually it turns out this build-up section is really just the main section. Then again, this is the first track on the album, so it serves as a build-up to the whole rest of the stuff, I suppose. What else is going on? Yeah, we've just got an extra string coming in there with the higher F sharp, 2 octaves higher than the but still lower than the voice.
Watches TV. The new
Oh, and there's some piano just knocking out that quartal chord.
Eve runs across ancient fields after dawn of humanity. The new Eve.
Actually, that top doesn't seem to be there most of the time. And I heard a in there. So that's just broadening the harmony altogether and making a slightly more complex chord on that at the end of the bar. Just those 3 quavers at the end of the bar.
After dawn of humanity. The new Eve is 13. The new Eve
Okay, big drums now.
is 18. She plays the guitar and she has a baby. The new Eve is you.
Yeah, and that string instrument, which still could be cello, but it sounds a little bit thinner now. So I'm guessing it's a violin. It's walking up the scale.
and
It's very dramatic and full of anticipation.
a new Eve will not leave. She has grabbed the flaming sword.
Okay, we lost the snare there, and it made a big difference to the texture where it felt very big before, and then suddenly it's not there.
She has grabbed the flaming sword.
Still got a lot of intensity,
but
not the same aggressive feel.
Dancing into battle, inviting you to join.
And we get a semitone dissonance between that F sharp and that D, just to end there. And yeah, inviting you into battle. Great. Well, quite a aggressive, full-bodied start here, I suppose. I wonder, is it going to continue with this mixture of classic electronic rock band with string sounds? I wonder. And in the background there, it sounds like there's a little bit of a synth. There might not be, but it's got quite a nice ring in the echo. Okay, we're immediately in with some punchier drums here, less space on them, but still quite a lot of space. So that kick drum especially is da 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 da, really punching through. I'm no beatboxer, but I'll do my best. It's minimal though, isn't it? And the same is true of the other track. We've really just got kick drum, some toms in the previous track. I don't think there are any toms in here, but there could be. I guess we could have toms going at the same time as the kick drum. I'm not so good at telling the difference there. And then we've got snare drum, and that's really all we've got. We've got no high cymbals or anything like that, at least so far. Okay, quite a fun little funky riff. Just spelling out the power chord there. What? Yeah, no, I've lost the pitch. I'm going to have to check. D, E. Okay. Do. So where are we in E? I would imagine so. Oh, great. A classic kind of riff there. Do. Yeah, I mean, that's very close in DNA to I Want to Be Your Dog by the Stooges. Even the guitar, I mean, the guitar on that one sounds crazy. I would say that there's an old-fashioned DIY 60s kind of sound to the guitar here. It's very dry, but it's got it's got the distortion on it, or the fuzz, I guess. Yeah, there's that cello again. And the cello adds a huge amount of textural excitement to place. You can get very familiar with the sound of a bass, with the sound of drums, although there's some unusualness here, and with the sound of a fuzzy guitar, sure, you might have listened to that a lot, but the context of having it with these string sounds, they relate to each other in quite an unusual way that is pretty fun. It reminds me of Plants and Rags by PJ Harvey, which we'll just briefly touch on. I think it's Plants and Rags. So, where are we? Yeah. So you can hear. That's just one particular bit where the guitar and the voice are with with the I suppose it's a violin in this case. Yeah, it's some crazy stuff, and I don't want to do it dirty by just trying to sum it up in that relationship. But yeah, you can hear there how the guitar and the guitar sounds pretty straightforward itself, guitar and acoustic guitar. But then we've also got that crazy, basically atonal violin solo over the top, and the textures, the timbres, and the just feel of the two things together is really unusual. So let's get some more of that. So the guitar is doing a slightly different rhythm, but the cello and the bass are locked in together, doing and they even meet on that bar for a brief moment. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because the bass is operating in the same area as the two other instruments, so it's really not feeling much like a bass. And the guitar goes to the same note at the end, do, and that's the one that the bass starts on. So they're all operating in the same octave space. Other than the voice. Really, really, I don't want to say raw again, because it's not really what I mean, but like a vulnerable, straightforward delivery on the voice, but with this, this very nervous vibrato on the end. This da 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 da. Yeah, I can't really do it, but it's very sort of upsetting, I suppose, in a kind of good way. Bright violet lightning, the highwayman comes riding. Yeah, so there was a subtle change to the guitar riff, which stayed a bit longer on that first note. So it would go in time with the ridings. Riding. We had a little twiddle as well, going up to emphasize that sort of Phrygian feel. We haven't spoken much about what's going on with those notes. It's just 3 different semitone drops. So we get like the flat 3 of the key, the 2, the flat 2, and then the 1. So it's chromatic, and it's what other things do that? Oh, obviously, Have a Cigar by Pink Floyd. Do. And what does it in exactly the same way as that is Take Me to Church. Do. Does exactly the same thing. So it's not unfamiliar. I don't know. It does feel a bit differently to those because it's not so deliberate. It's a little bit more laid back. But you couldn't. I can't really explain the difference. I think that's some tacit understanding there, tacit knowledge. Oh, Clay Velvet, you hear the rhythm of his heartbeat when he comes riding. There was a bit of a difference again there with the riff. Went up to the 4 instead of down to the flat 2. So maybe we're going towards a more comfortable space here. Don't know. Riding. Yeah, and when all the voices there are saying riding in their different pitches, it's a little bit scary. Yeah, I don't follow the narrative weft of these songs very well, especially not when I'm focusing so much on the music. But the impression I'm getting is of a sort of creepy fairy tale being told. lovely, lovely, lovely stuff. That's there with one of the voices and with the cello, and then with the other one. Just, yeah, moving in fourths, but they are what I would call folk fourths, and they're not perfectly tuned. And that top one really doesn't feel like a perfect fourth to me. Yeah, but there's that Phrygian feeling again. That's the flat 2 showing us Phrygian, this darker, battle-like sound. Oh yeah, and it's at the same time as the guitar is doing the other 2, the brighter, the normal 2, not the flat 2. D, D. So we get D down there, and we get up there at the same time. That is very aggressive harmony. A nasty false relation. I found a beautiful false relation in an Aurora song the other day, and I didn't realise how beautiful it was. They can be amazing. Here they are pretty cool, but they're being used very much for that acerbic, aggressive quality rather than any kind of idea of beauty. So the guitar riff was doing something different last time when we were going. It was going slower through the notes. Here we've sped up. So we're doing that rather than what we were doing before. But the cello and the voices are still doing the other thing. So they don't quite feel related to each other in the same way now. They feel like they're pulling in different directions. It's a more complicated texture, more polyphonic, and and how you meant to make sense of it, I don't know. But it's nice that the drums and the bass are just going on their journey and not deviating. That is, it keeps everything grounded. Intense. It's great. It's fun. And then that voice at the end, Rada, got a little bit of the stank on it. Oh, I don't know, like a. Oh, what is that? I don't know. It's a little bit of a darker larynx, but it's more of a strange pharyngeal space, I suppose. Oh, something like that. So they were more matched in this particular section. So there's sort of a binary opposition between chaotic polyphony and that straightforward homophony where they're working very closely together. Sounds like the strings are about to go crazy. I can't actually tell if that's the... in fact, no, that must be the cello, because it's so... such a weird sound. I can't imagine how that would be made on a guitar. The guitar has dropped out as well, but the cello, I think, must be this, and it's through some crazy fuzz or distortion. Then again, the cello is actually still there going da 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 in the background, so maybe it's not the cello, but these are some nuts sounds to get out of a guitar, if so. Oh no, okay. It's making more sense as a guitar now. Let's hear it again. I wish I could show you on the guitar. Especially that jump. Jump. Yeah, fun. Crazy. I think these are, I mean, maybe they're deliberately chosen chords, but they feel very alien. They're individual 3-note chords, I think, and they're just really off from what else is going on, which is really just this E bass. So you would think that it would be easy to be in line with that, but that's not even what's happening. Okay, that there, that was in line, but we immediately moved away from that. That's a B, so that's in tune too. That's the 5th. Actually, we do have something different going on the drums, don't we? Some more sticky sounds here, rather than the snare and the kick drum. Okay, which has just changed as we get out of that section. So that's nice. That's like a proper solo section where the other instruments sort of hold off mostly while this solo is happening. It's quite cool. Unexpected textural difference for this particular band. We're back to the riff. They tried to kill her. She pulls the trigger. Shoots them down one and one. No, it's new to give a gun in our society. Where the authorities are sickened. Yeah, she's got a bit of a growl. This kind of kind of sound going on, but she's so wide and sort of high in her range that I think that's hard to keep going, and not all these vowels are so different, so you get that sadi. It really feels like a big difference there. Probably using a lot of sort of facial muscles and being really dramatic with the delivery, and that's really cool. It sounds unhinged. So this is our cello solo then, isn't it? I suppose. I mean, there's a chance it's another string instrument, I suppose. It's going very high for a cello, but cellos can go high. So nothing wrong with that. And again, it's playing sort of chordal stuff rather than specific melody lines, which is weird. It's a weird thing to do in a solo, but it does have this very attacking feeling. Yeah, lovely with, I don't know where the bow is going there, but we're getting these sort of showers of harmonics going as it's playing these particular notes. Okay, and there we were, just for a brief moment. And it sounds like we're getting into the chorus, I guess, this running thing. Okay, now this isn't the chorus, is it? Running. This is, I mean, well, maybe lyrically it is, but we're getting to that more crazy polyphony where things are just going on their own trajectories. Down the highway, in the lightning, his love blood throbbing, her love blood pouring. Down the highway, down the highway, down the highway. So there, the cello has joined in on that on the lower melody line there. Da 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 da. Which it wasn't in before, but we have heard it do that earlier in the thing. But it's an interesting change, and it does bring a little bit more importance to this final section. Oh, unexpected. Slides up to that E, and then cha 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 at the same time as we get a new drum, a cymbal. Smash, 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 smash. All of a sudden at the end there. So maybe we are actually playing with a full kit. That's interesting, unexpected. We'll have to wait and see. Cow song. Wow. No. Ha. Okay, I mean, we could tell from the previous track that they were able to sing really nicely in harmony, but we were not expecting all of a sudden 3-part beautiful resonances with a nice soundscape around it as well. It's the landscape, isn't it, really? We've got some birds. This might well have just been recorded outside, I suppose. Whoa. Sorry. Okay, I can manage that. We've got 3 voices. Na, na, na. And then they all go up. Na, 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 na. Dearie me, wrong octave. Okay, so we get na, na, na. And then it goes back to its original pitch. We get na, na, na. Again, back to its original pitch. And na, 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 which is the most fun one. It starts on the 5th of the chord. Na, na, na. That technically means that it would be in second inversion, this chord, but it doesn't feel like a second inversion chord because it's happening in the middle of the harmonic spectrum. If we were doing this lower, it would feel a lot more sort of rumbly because of that beautiful relationship between the 5th and the 1st in a second inversion chord like that. But it's not doing that here. It just makes it slightly more resonant, really, rather than going na na na, stacking them all on top of each other, which is more boring and less. It would fit the voices less, I guess. But then on that second one, when we get na na, we get both of those notes, and we get the na. That's the 7th. So we don't really change chord, but we change from the na from the middle voice to the na for the lower voice. So it builds that chord an extra note, kind of makes it into a diminished chord, but then it resettles without that extra note. So it's an interesting thing to do. Yeah, not clear if it has a specific function right now. Okay. Okay, I'll hear that again. I think what we've got an unexpected minor chord, but that's using that 7th note, that flat 7th. Sorry, yeah, flat 7th. Yeah, so the lower voice, na 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 na, 3 5 4 3, no problem there. We actually get a doubled third, na, up in the top voice, and then that comes down, na 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 na, I think, while the middle voice, na, starts on the 1. Na, na, goes down to the flat 7, down to the 6, na, and down to the 5, na. So overall there we've got na, na, na as our first chord, so it's still that main chord. Let's just get in key, let's work out where we are. Na, D major is where we are here. But with that flat seventh, it's D mixolydian is really what it is. So we've got na, na, na. That's our first chord. And then na, 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 which is our strange A minor chord. So it's A, C, E, which we wouldn't expect. It's like a flat, a minor 5 chord there. Classic of mixolydian, just unexpected overall. And then that all goes down na, 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 to the 4 chord, which is major, a G major chord, and then na, na, na. We end again on the D chord, this time with all 3 notes, and in first inversion, just like it was just before, but not how it was at the beginning. So lovely, lovely stuff. Great. So I was wondering what was going on there, because we went to 2-part harmony with 2 of the voices going la on the low note and just 1 la up on the D. So we had the F sharp and the D, and then they both move up la, la, and then the lower note splits. Yeah, you hear when they're both on the lower note, we get this sort of phasing effect with their voices, because they're not quite in tune with each other as perfectly as they could be. So especially towards the end of the phrase, we get this beating. But then when it goes to a different note, the beating disappears and we just get this resonant block. It's powerful stuff. Da, da, da. It's not a specific. I mean, you could probably call it a like a 7th chord with no third. Da, da, da. But yeah, not so easy to explain what's going on there. A little bit of a car, and then la, la, coming in nice and strong there. I guess the top voice compensating for the fact that the 2 voices are on the lower pitch by singing stronger, but we get that doo-doo, just strong 5th, D power chord there. And that's how we end, with a little bit of that aggressive vibrato. Oh, jeez. Let's not. Okay. Well, fun. Is that just the intro, or is that how the whole thing's going to go on? 4 specific phrases? No. I mean, the connection between them is that they're in this D mixolydian, and they're all using the same sort of slow harmonic movement. But, yeah, no melody similarities between them, really. So, okay. Well, that's a good intro. I like it. Okay, yeah, I feel like that really is going to be the only bit of that we get. Now we're in swing time, and it feels very much like a sort of, I don't know, country hoedown kind of, bop along thing. Simple drums again, just toms and or kick drum and snare. We've got that string note coming through with a bit of a slide each time. In fact, we've got 2 strings do over there, do down there. Still in the same key, so that's something. Ba-da-dum. And the bass just got us in there, but it doesn't seem to be doing too much. It is doing a little bit do-do, do-do, do-do. Giving us the flat third there, while the string gives us a really nice, slightly lower than our normal pitch, I think. Doo. I think we'd normally have that a little bit sharper. Dee. Maybe like that. Dee. It's sort of a natural major third, something like that. I reckon, anyway. Well, we are still getting cool harmonies here, and they're much more comfortable than in the previous track. Yeah, all nice consonant intervals, doubling of the lower line, which is that's a nice thing. Again, listening to Aurora so much, Jesus, I've been doing so much. But there's nary a song goes by where her voice isn't doubled. She records it again herself, but she uses as a textural thing the difference between having one version of her voice, which sounds vulnerable and sensitive, and then if that then is doubled, even if it's singing exactly the same notes, and specifically if it is, then suddenly it feels stronger and more, integrated. I don't know, something like that. Less introspective. It's quite cool. And so this is kind of doing a similar thing, but in a much more indie setting. So we definitely have some toms here because we had a bit of a roll there. That's cool. So that we're still committing to sort of the Mixolydian feel here, maybe with a bit of just general blues, flat third / sharpened third or normal third stuff. Yeah, I mean, it feels very bluesy, country, like old-fashioned American music, doesn't it? Yeah, it does feel like the dee over there is not the dee from the main ones, but I might just be confirmation biasing myself there. There's certainly no auto-tune on these, is there? Yeah, it feels quite slow moving. We've got a lot of long held notes from the melody, and it's nice how that da-da-da comes in by itself and then it's joined by the other two singers. It's cool. So this is our first section, shall we say. Another one. There's a certain amount of hypnotism going on in, I think, all of these. This long-held grooves, even though they have variation within them, because there's this large amount of continuity between the sections, you start to lose a bit of sense of time, and you forget how long it's been going on. It's really effective live. It's very, very exciting when you're just lost in the groove live. It's nice that one voice by itself at the end as well. That's happened a few times. Yeah, sounds very bare in comparison. Okay, a different bit of melody there. The grooves on, but the melody changes. of notes. 5, 3, 4, 6, 5. Whoa. A sudden change. Beat switch. Suddenly that other, let's just call it the other cello. No, I'm not going to. I'm going to look up the credits on this darn thing. Band. That's not helpful. Fine, I'm going to look it up elsewhere. The New Eves. If I have to look at live recordings to see what's going on, I will. Ah, come on now. What in the world? Why is the first video that comes up an NME review of the album? That's nuts. Okay. Okay. There is a cello. There is a guitar. There is a flute. Well, that was a shock reveal. It's the drummer playing the flute as well. That's cool. I can't see another string instrument other than guitars. Oh, what's that? Ah, no. It's gone out of focus. Well, it's not another cello, let me tell you that. It looks like there's an accordion on there as well. Oh, I'm looking forward to the rest of this album. Okay. So, yeah, so let's just take it by range. It's playing do up there, which is clearly a place where a violin can play most comfortably. So that has suddenly gone into very fast semiquavers, which is not a rhythm we've had really so far. We've had very straightforward quavers. Everything's been a bit old-fashioned, but also primitive, deliberately, I think, primitive. But here we've got something that is the exact antithesis of that. Really fast notes and a whole tempo switch. It's a crazy thing. Here it comes. Yeah. So what's the difference? We're going from 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Tap tempo. How fast is that? 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, that's still pretty fast. That's about 117, maybe 120. Okay, but then, sorry, I just made a very horrible gurgling noise. How fast are we going in this next section? Here it comes. Here it comes. I really like the scream as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, 160. So if we say the other one was 120, and this is going to 160, that's a factor of 33% increase. Wow, a third faster. That's fun. Yeah. It doesn't quite work like that though, does it? Because, I don't know, I guess it could work like that. Yeah, because 180 would be like 1.5 times as fast. So yeah, I guess 160 is 1.5 times as fast. Cool. yeah, it feels very fast as well. Still in the same key, and still the you know the it's still a feeling of the same kind of groove, but really, what is the similarity? The drums are using the same drums, but now it's more like the groove of Highwayman, and what else have you got? So I think the cello is doing a similar, and the bass is really doing something different. So the bass was going ba-doo-doo, ba-doo-doo, this kind of thing. And now it's going bum bum ba-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, which is more of a pentatonic riff, less sort of odd harmony notes, do-do-do-do, but more of an actual line, I guess. Crazy voices. It's really nice to hear 3 different voices going crazy on a recording. Going all the way up to that top E. Not today. Cello solo. This one, again, it feels really aggressive. Playing really hard on the cello. But the notes now are slightly more comfortable. They're still in keeping with this Mixolydian mode. We're just getting an extra note, occasionally that wah, which is probably one of the low strings. Low D string? It's not even that low, actually. Do, do, do. Yeah, there is a D string. So we're playing on the top 2 strings here of the cello. Lovely. Yeah, not. I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but we just assume it's deliberate. The tuning between that D and D is quite uncomfortable. Quite uncomfortable. Let's hear it again. That's all fine. It just feels a little higher than we'd expect on that 7th here. Okay, and it's gone back to, and then the pan has moved for it as well, which is very cute. So for the solo, it moves to the middle, and then after that, it moves away again. It's gone to the note that the violin was keeping, and that's gone up a third. Oh, no, that's going for a solo. Yeah, this is obviously a violin now. It's very, very impossible to do that on a cello, I think. And it's playing with those high notes that the cello can't reach very easily. So this one is a little more aggressive harmonically. It's using that flat third, which we had in the previous section, but we had it only in the bass. Everything else was doing the major third. So this one's a little more aggressive, but again, we've got that double stopping, 2 different strings. Sorry, not double stopping, but we are playing 2 different strings. On the top string, with that string being held down. What's that? That's the A string. Yeah, same thing then. We're playing on the top 2 strings of the violin. Okay, not always though, actually. It was both of those, but then we moved down to the D strings. This is a good key for playing on 2 different strings of the violin. That's interesting and quite complicated, because you might expect that you would keep one particular pedal note going for something on double strings on a violin, but clearly that's not what's happening. She's going across 2 different sets of strings. Yeah, snare, 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 building up some power there. And the cello is actually sort of fighting for dominance here because it's doing those fast semiquavers. Very exciting. And then a sudden stop, not with a cleared, beautiful D major chord either. Just dip, and then it stops. But it's not really a stop. Again, it's a change of pace. The texture disappears. And it's just the drums which are left. And we're not even really using the kick drum here. It's toms and snare. Dum-ba-da, dum-ba-da, dum-ba-da. And we're back to the original groove. Here we are. Oh, wow, that's so good. Oh, those are the best harmonies I've heard on a 2025 album so far this year. Wow. 3 different voices, and now they're doing 3 different notes, and they are doing their own melody lines, which nonetheless are well chosen in relationship to the others.
Here I go, out on my own.
Yeah, they're simple, but the relationship doesn't stay the same, and that's the most important thing, because you could do something like this and just go out on my own, out on my own, out on my own. But that's not what happens. They move around a bit. Let's hear it again.
Here I go, out on my own.
Out on my own. So that one jumps down, whereas do do do, that one stays in the same place for that last note, which means it goes from the lowest voice to the second lowest voice.
Out on my own.
And then out on my, on that particular note, it's the same as the second voice, which then jumps down to fill the chord, whereas the top voice stays the same. Ah, lovely, lovely stuff. So simple, but with the intricacy behind it.
Got no place
The slides are really my kind of thing as well. Place
to call my home.
slightly different that time, because instead of going da 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 da, you went da 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 da. Okay, so we had a doubling of the third. No, sorry, of the root note before jumping down that time. I just actually want to check that, because that is the kind of thing that I would miss.
I go out on my own.
No, actually, it does go do that both times. Da 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 da. That's a shame. I thought it was cool.
Got no place to call my.
Also, interestingly, the strings are not here. We have the bass and we have the drums, but we don't have the cello or the violin. So therefore must be focusing on the singing. Sorry, not quite true. We do have the cello, but it's not playing constantly. It's doing do-dum dum, do-dum dum, do-dum dum at the same time as the bass.
Mountains I roam, no idea.
Interesting how this is slightly different to the first section. Well, that didn't sound planned. This is a absolute trip. I am really enjoying this. I'm going to put it on my recent songs playlist, which is where all my favourite songs go from the year. And then they get forgotten at the end of the year. But yeah, this is great. suddenly I mean, it's not the most smooth transition, but it's quite a fun change. Again, like we're going from swing time dun 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 dun, dun to straight time da 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 da, and we're probably keeping the same exchange rate in terms of speed. I think. Huh. If you, can I do the maths? Let me open Excel. If you've got beats at 120 beats per minute, that means you've got well, we know that 160 divided by 120 is 1.3333333333. That's no problem. So that says that it's a third faster. If we have essentially 1 under, 2 under, 3 under, 4 under going on in the 120, that means we've got 3 divisions per beat, so that's 360 divisions there. Whereas in the 160, we've actually got 2 divisions going on. So there's only 320 divisions in a minute rather than 360. So actually, in this swing gear kind of thing, we've got more of those than when we go up to the faster tempo. So there's a sense in which, even though it is actually going faster beat-wise, it's taking up a little less space overall in the bar, especially when we've not got the semiquavers going on. That really blows it out of the water. But yeah, interesting. Here we go. Really strange change as well. It facilitated by we're using the cymbals now. We're using ride cymbal, but again, it's like this primitive use of the kit where it's mainly just one thing at a time. Yeah, and we've got this kind of thing going on. So that's like 1 2 1 1 2 1 1 2, something like that. So 1 there is a ride cymbal. Ride snare, ride snare, ride snare. This kind of rhythm, which is fun. Sort of feels, yeah, again, very different to the previous section. A bit off kilter because we've come into it so abruptly and suddenly. And I think the strings are doing similar things. The bass is not, and we will look at that in a moment. But the strings are both kind of emphasizing. Yeah, emphasizing the same kind of things. But I've lost the one. So they're revolving around this one particular note. They've both got it. The cello, the violin, just doing the same note in a different octave, and then the bass is going off on its own thing. Yeah, it's keeping the 4 feeling. So if we're thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, the bass is what's keeping us there. Do 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 do. Just doing that in the background. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 3 1. Feels like it's slowing a little bit. Maybe not. Okay, and the strings are slowly morphing over this time period. One thing you can do as a string player with a bow is you can move that bow to different places on the string and you can get different sounds even though you've got the same note being held by your other hand. Your other hand puts down the finger and makes do, and then that's fine, but it might sound like do or like da, or like, whatever. Whatever thing might change the note based on where your bow is, and that's kind of what's morphing the sound here, especially in the cello. As the cello moves the bow position, we get a lot more harmonics and colour to the sound. In the left headphone, the violin is doing a different thing actually, where it's going more for two different notes at the same time. So we're getting the do, and we're getting the do or do sometimes. I guess our harmony has changed here a bit as well with that do. It might be a bit of an accidental thing. These guys are really free with what's actually going on in these different things. It feels almost like the Slits, because they just have a lot of chaotic energy going on. It's really fun. But it means that if we overanalyze something like that change between do and do, it may well be entirely irrelevant and meaningless. So I'm not going to really look into that. But it does feel slightly different to our previous sections where we've had that very clear third do. We don't have that anymore. Okay, a sudden pickup of the pace. Well, it's still going at the same speed actually, but the change in drums there to the kick drum made a big difference, and on the beat as well. Let's hear it. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the screams. But one of them is actually really going for good notes. Going for the third there. Going for all of those nice notes, whereas the others are just wailing. And one of them is going for actually deliberately chaotic notes as well. That major seventh that we've not heard at all in this piece before. So yeah, unsettling and clearly intended to be a bit of an attack. Then again, it could just be intended as like euphoric, you just letting go of the shackles. I don't know. That seems a bit grandiose for a song named Cow Song, because, well, you don't need me to explain that. Okay, and a slow rallentando, getting slower before a stop. We're still not the end of this song, though. We've had 5 different sections to this song, all of which have had a different tempo to the previous ones. They've all gone at different speeds. Maybe some of them have gone at the same speed as others, but not juxtaposed. So we've gone from that beginning opening with just the 3 voices in nature, just making the beautiful noises. Then we went to this kind of swung, slightly bluesy, old country kind of feel. Then we went to this much more insistent one with the semiquavers going nice and fast. Then we eventually got back to our swing rhythm. Then we went to the much more rhythmically intense section, and we've just sort of come out of that into what? I don't know. Everyone just holding the Ds, they're all gone. Only the resonance. Oh. So similar harmonies to the beginning there, not quite the same, and I can't be bothered going into exactly how they're different. But also they're played on different instruments. We've got the violin, we've got the bass, and we've got the flute making its debut entry here. I wish I'd saved that for myself, but I had to find out if it was a violin, and I spoiled the flute surprise for myself, which is a shame. But it's really nice and giving us that higher octave, which we don't normally get. That one. There, that was fun. The na 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 in the violin is duplicated down an octave by the bass. Dum dum dum. But then for that last note, dum sinks through the floor and gives us that nice resonant final chord. So again, going between sort of 2-part and 3-part. A little bit of voice noise there. So this is an echo of the first section, the opening intro. It's really arty, actually. I've not heard another song that has had this idea. It's a really nice idea. I mean, so like in a musical, you might get the same musical phrases echoed in a different instrument in a different part of the song. It's just absolutely beyond the call of duty for pop music in general. A little bit more elaboration in the flute there, which is nice. But it's made me notice that the instruments really don't feel as united as when it's 3 voices. The timbres are very different, and they may not be perfectly tuned with each other. Kind of getting 2 notes on the violin as well. Maybe the cello is in there too, but we're really only hearing it in the right hemisphere. So I think it's probably just the violin playing 2 different notes. Nothing wrong with that. I think it must be the cello actually. Dude, that's pretty low for a violin. And annoying that they're both in the same pan there. That's actually almost feels like it's deliberately to make this harder for me. I know it's not. I know my relationship to the world is not that I am deliberately the motivation for everything around me. Fortunately, I have come to terms with that. Nice little bit of extra raz at the end there. Okay. What an interesting piece of music. Kind of in a A, B, C, B, C, A. What's that? It's kind of ternary form because we come back to the initial thing, which is an unusual thing for pop music anyway. Overall very interesting. Lots of different things and making a huge amount of quite a small amount of resources. Especially the lack of using the strings, right? So, what am I trying to say here? I don't even mean the strings. I mean the lack of using the cymbals, except in very specific moments, is a really interesting facet that doesn't happen very often at all. Cymbals are really helpful and often used almost all the time. Hi-hats are used all the time, but we haven't even heard a hi-hat here. We've heard ride cymbal for a bit. We've heard one 4-beat section we're using the crash in the previous song. I think we're going to leave it here today. Partly because I am super tired, but also because there's already a lot of meat in what's going on there. I think that's really great stuff. 6 more tracks to look at, and I'm no doubt going to enjoy that a lot. Yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised by this album. Um, I was expecting a certain amount of craziness, but yeah, it's got both the craziness and the calm, meditative resonance to it as well. Yeah, lovely. And I think the album cover is sort of perfect for it. There's so much white, with just this stark declaration of intent. I think it's really cool. Yeah, all the best to them. I hope you have a nice life and a nice day, and stop watching. Don't, yeah, certainly don't watch more of this. Bye bye. See you soon.